I am so excited to make this video today because I am going to show you how we grow winged beans. They are really yummy, really easy to grow in the tropics. We grow buckets and buckets and buckets full, and they are so tasty. They taste like a cross between a snow pea or a sugar snap pea and asparagus. Really yummy, really versatile, can use them in any nationality, and I'm going to show you today how many we have and how they grow. Hi, I'm Debbie and welcome to Vintage Food Farm. Let's go and see how many wing beans we actually grow. We've got some tree lettuce that I'm growing for some people, and that's the bananas hanging up there. They'll go yellow in the next couple of days. So let's go and see these wing beans. So look at this. These are all wing beans right up to the top of that trellis. So that's over 2 meters high. Beautiful little purple flowers. That's just some pandan growing near it. So that's all the vine, and that goes all the way across the other side as well. So you can see how much wing bean vine there is. It is just insane. So wing beans are a perennial, but mine did die off a bit in the colder weather, and then they came back again. Once they come back, it actually takes them a little while because they grow so fast and so much, and then all of a sudden they go to flower, and then all of a sudden you have buckets and buckets of wing beans. So if you remember when I did the tree lettuce video, this is where the snake was. So I'm always very cautious. Okay, here is a beautiful eating size wing bean. So it's still really soft and a bit flexible. You can see the flowers. That's a wing bean flower there. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a heap of wing beans because I'm going to do a stir fry tonight for dinner, and then I'll show you how we cut them up and how we use them. So when they're soft like this, you can see that it's still a little bit flexible. That is perfect for eating. And you can even go down to really, really small ones. Every grasshopper that moves, I think, is a snake. So you can even go around to the really tiny ones. This one is too big, so it's it's probably actually okay, but they do get quite big, and once they get really big, they get really hard. So because I've got a lot of choice, I won't eat that one. But this is beautiful. So I'm going to pick a basket full of wing beans, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you what I've got. These are ground apples in there underneath the papaya. You can see all the baby papayas on this tree. They're a little bit hide-and-seeky, but they are in there, and there are tons of them. It's a bit scary that Lexi's after something in there, but you can see here this beautiful little flower. So that's got 3 flowers on it. So in here, that one is too big, and it's quite fibrous and crispy. And you can see, I don't know if you can see, it's starting to get some beans in the middle of it. So that one's too big to eat. There's quite a few on this side that are too big to eat, but this one is gorgeous. Look at that. That one's great. When you first look at them, you can't see them all, and then you just stare at it. It's probably because I'm blind as a bat, and you'll manage to find a heap of them. So here's our basket of winged beans. which we picked from the trellis over there in the veggie garden. Wing beans are so exciting because they are so versatile. You will never see them probably in your mainstream supermarkets. You will see them at some tropical food markets, like I see them at Rusty's in Cairns. So you'll see over here, that's where we have the trellis full of wing beans, and it's a very hot day, so they're actually, you know, wilting a bit, but they'll come back as soon as the sun goes down a bit. But they've also self-seeded over here on the fence, which is just so pretty. So hopefully the whole fence gets covered in wing beans, some more pretty flowers. And I think that is growing, and I'm not exaggerating, it is growing about a metre down the fence a day. That is how fast wing beans grow. There's another little one there. I'll grab him. And another one, and another one. If you grow wing beans, you will never have to buy snow peas or sugar snap peas again. These totally replace them. If you look in there, you can see that's a loofah as well, a stray loofah. I don't know how that got there. So I'll add these to our basket. So you can see that is plenty of wing beans for a stir fry or a curry or a soup or steamed or whatever you want. It takes 30 seconds to go out there and pick them, and they cost you $0. So the first time I had a wing bean was actually in Krabi in Thailand, and we went to one of those street curry stalls where they've got like 20 different curries, crab curry, chicken curry, lots of coconut based curries. And you get the curries that you want, and then they serve it with usually a fermented rice noodle. And then in the middle of the table, which is usually a share table, you'll get a whole lot of beautiful green crispy vegetables, and one of those is often a wing bean. You can eat the whole wing bean plant. So you can eat the wing beans, you can eat the leaves like a spinach, and the young shoots are beautiful in a stir fry. You can eat the seeds inside when they're really young and green like a pea. And then you can also wait until the beans are mature and dried out, and then you can store the beans inside and cook them like any legume, where you have to cook them for, you know, a couple of hours to make sure that they're good to eat and that they don't have any of the toxins that raw beans have in them. But it's still, and I think you can also eat the tuber in the ground. I haven't done that, but the whole plant is edible. So if you want to be a little bit more self-sufficient, or you just want to save money and you live in the tropics, wing beans are definitely a winner. Here I pulled off a bit of old marigold plant, and they're eating all the flowers and the seeds from the marigolds, which is really good for them. Also, because wing bean leaves and beans are quite high in protein, relatively speaking, for a green plant, it's fantastic to feed to the chickens. You can see they're grabbing the flowers off the marigold. I was reading on a vlog once that in Pakistan and the Middle East, they add marigold extract to the chicken food to help to keep the colour of the yolks of their eggs more orange. So I'm like, I don't want an additive, I'm just going to feed them marigold flowers, and they love them. So I believe that wing beans actually originated in PNG, but they are now all over the world. So they're all through Southeast Asia, they're through Sri Lanka, just all over the world. People eat them in different ways because they're so easy to grow and so prolific and so nutritious. It's a very good feed. They even feed it to animals in Africa because it's quite high in protein and produces such a high yield. So any plant that grows in the tropics, usually, even if it starts in, say, PNG, usually ends up in most tropical countries because it is easy to grow and nutritious and yummy. So it has many different names. So I know it as winged bean or asparaguspea, but I'll get my list here. It's also known as cigarillas, goa bean, 4-angled bean, 4-cornered bean, manila bean, princess bean. So any really good tropical plant that goes all over the world will have a million names, and more importantly, a million ways to cook it, which is really exciting. So wing bean is a perennial, and if you live down south and you can grow it, it will turn into an annual because it needs the warm weather to stay alive, basically. If you live in the tropics, you can just leave the beans on the plant and the seed pods will get huge and go brown, drop on the ground, and they will just come up again the next year. So that's how these ones on the fence have all come up. That would have just, in the wet season, that would have washed over from some that I left over there, and they would have washed over here to the fence. They need a trellis or something to grow up from, so they would have picked the fence and they've just gone for gold. I really like them. You can see that's the spent flour that's on the end there. That comes off really easily. I really like them at this size in a salad. So now what I'm going to do is show you how to cut up your wing beans, especially if you find it difficult to get used to the shape. So I am a real scissors person, but certainly you could use a knife as well. And I'll show you a couple of options for different sorts of food and different sorts of texture that you may find easier to get used to. Because remember, the flavour you will love. It is just the shape of the bean that freaks people out. So here is our wing bean, and we just take off the spent flour end and the end, so you just top and tail them. Now, for a normal, and so you can use a knife if you find that easier, but I find scissors a lot easier. So just, you can chop them up into these little star shapes, and I associate this with a Sri Lankan curry or an Indian curry for no reason except that I think they do use it, and the shape is just small, a little star shape, quite pretty. But I can see that some people find that difficult to palate. So this is another option. If you were going to do a stir fry, is to cut on a long diagonal. And then cut them into 4. So what you're doing is just making the shape flatter so that it is more like a bean, just a flat crispy bit that you would use in like a Chinese stir fry. And that is how they use them in China, is just by cutting it on the long diagonal. But you could easily just cut it in 2 or cut it in 4 so that the shape is more like what you're used to. And then the other way, take your top and your bottom off, give it a good wash, and then just cut down the centre of the bean, and then cut down the centre of that so that you have some long bits like that. And I think that's actually a little bit too long, so I would just cut them, and there's your beautiful replacement for snow peas or sugar snap peas in any stir fry or soup or noodle dish. Really, really beautiful. So the other thing that you can use from the wing bean plant is the fresh shoots, and you can use them in a stir fry, soup, curry, anywhere where you would use an Asian green. And the last thing is the flowers. So people say that these flowers taste really nice. Like a butterfly pea flower in Malaysia, they use them to colour rice and pastry. I don't think the colour is as intense as a butterfly pea, but they certainly do use it. So I will give this flower a taste. Definitely sweet. It's okay. I just can't get my head around eating flowers, but it actually tastes pretty good. Like, it's sweet and fresh. It's actually really good. It's actually really good. I still don't think I'll eat them, but it's really good. That's crazy. I'm still not going to eat them, but it's really good. So if you are a flower in salad person, that actually tastes really good, so go for it. So I'm going to give the leaf a taste as well. So you can eat the leaves and the stems, and it tastes like a leaf version of the wing bean. So if you wanted a nice, green stir fry with some greens in a soup, that is absolutely beautiful. The wing beans, the leaves and the flowers have quite a bit of sweetness to them, which makes it really, really yummy. So people say that you can freeze wing beans. I'm not a big fan of freezing because where we live, the power goes out all the time. If the power went out for an extended period of time, like say we had a cyclone or something like that, everything that we have in that fridge is gone. So it's not really a sustainable way of keeping things long term. Also, I'm just lazy. Once it's in the freezer, I forget about it. And I have fresh stuff available all the time, so I would rather eat it fresh and feed the chickens the excess, and if there's still excess, give it away or use it to make compost and build up the garden beds and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of freezing, but I know a lot of people love it, so I do believe that you can freeze wing beans. So if that's an option for you, that's a great thing. Hello, Sheila. What you doing? Hey? You watching me pick the wing beans? And here's all the chickens. So this one, I put the wing beans on the chair when I wasn't using them. And she's come over to have a snack. You don't want any? Do you want some? Do you want some? No. What do you reckon? There we go. So that is it. That is the amazing wing bean. It is totally worth giving it a go. You can get seeds at your local Asian grocer, at your hardware store. You can get them online. It is a fantastic, really, really yummy bean, and it is definitely worth growing. If you feel like it, and only if you feel like it, like and subscribe. But most importantly, stay calm in the farm.